Welcome to Ninerology, Faithful in the Trenches. I'm your host, Alan, and we're here to talk about the NFL's most recent power rankings posted by CBS. And man, did that create a buzz, specifically on X and other social media platforms. And we're just going to break down their top 16. Yes, there's 32 teams, but I want to break down the top 16 teams. And I'm going to go ahead and let you in on who my top 10 quarterbacks are. And the reasons behind that. Now, I think CBS's rankings were probably for clickbait because there are some people that are in the top 10 that should definitely not be in there or that high. Now, I'm a huge Brock Purdy guy. Just spoiler alert, they put Brock Purdy as number 2 in the power rankings for quarterbacks. As much as I love Brock Purdy, he is not the number 2 quarterback in the NFL right now. Now, he could eventually be the number 1 quarterback as he continues to hone in on his skills, develop his craft, and just really become an expert in the offense. But that hasn't been done yet. So let's break down their top 16 right now. You'll see it right here on the screen. You got Patrick Mahomes, who is listed number 1. And I think that's a consensus there. CBS has Brock Purdy as number 2. Number 3, they have Josh Allen. 4, Joe Burrow. 5, CJ Stroud. 6, Lamar Jackson. Talk about a slap in the face. 6, Lamar Jackson. 7, you have Jalen Hurts. 8, you got Dak Prescott. 9, Justin Herbert. 10, Jordan Love. 11, Aaron Rodgers. 12, Tua Tagovailoa. 13, you got Jared Goff. 14, Kirk Cousins. 15, Trevor Lawrence. And I included 16 because this is another NFC West guy, Matthew Stafford. Now, that list, again, that's just the top 16. I ignore the rest. You notice Deshaun Watson isn't on there either. You got Kyler Murray, who has been nothing for the Cardinals despite his contract. You have a lot of players that are not on that list. And so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and break down, one, why this list is horrible, but also an updated list. I think having Josh Allen number 3, let's ignore the Brock Purdy thing for a second. Josh Allen being at number 3 isn't a terrible ranking. I think most people would have him right around that 2 to 4 mark. He has some stuff to prove. Can he win the big game? We know that Patrick Mahomes is essentially Josh Allen has lived in Patrick Mahomes' shadow while being in the AFC. And that's been tough. Now that he's lost Stephon Diggs, what can he do this year? Can he get back to the AFC Championship game? It's been a couple of years. Can he do that? He still has a very talented roster. Yes, there's been some turnover, but what can he do? Can he carry his team and move up that ladder? Now, let's talk about Joe Burrow, number 4. To me, I would think he'd probably be number 2. It's a toss between him and Josh Allen. What's keeping Joe Burrow back, I think he could even leapfrog Patrick Mahomes, is his injuries. Joe Burrow he has the nickname Joe Cool. A lot of people see him in the same vein as Tom Brady, just a little bit stronger arm, a little bit more mobility. He just has that coolness and that it factor, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So I'd love to see what he can kind of do. CJ Stroud, I believe, was way too high at number 5. A lot of people are high on him, so am I, but he's had 1 year. Let's wait and see what happens. It's the same argument they had with Brock Purdy his rookie year. This is his rookie year. There's not enough film on him. Then he did it again his second year, got to the NFC Championship, again got to a Super Bowl, and there's still let's wait and see. But for whatever reason, when it comes to CJ Stroud, let's go ahead and crown him now. So I think 5 is way too high, especially when CBS has him 1 above Lamar Jackson. Now, even though Lamar Jackson is 2-4 in the playoffs, he's had 2 MVPs, 1 unanimous. The reality is he should have had 2 unanimous MVP votes, and I think what's holding him back is the playoff record. But still, there's no reason CJ Stroud should be rated above Lamar Jackson. That is just blasphemy. Then 7, they have Jalen Hurts. That's a joke. We've seen what happened after the 49ers exposed Jalen Hurts, exposed the Eagles. He hasn't been the quarterback that they anticipated. Now they've paid 2 wide receivers almost $30 million a year because he needs that talent. He can't create the offense on his own. He needs all of that talent. He had DeAndre Swift. He had A.J. Brown. He had a lot of players available at his disposal. And so the question is, can he deliver? Can he deliver without them on his side? So Jalen Hurts. Then you have 8, Dak Prescott. That's hilarious. His 2-5 playoff record. He's got all the talent in the world around him too, and hasn't done anything with it. You can almost expect Dak Prescott to do very well during the regular season and then collapse during the playoffs. Justin Herbert. I think this is another thing very similar to Josh Allen. Joe Burrow has all the talent, all the potential, but we all know what potential is. Potential just means not done yet. Not done yet. Then you have Jordan Love, very similar to CJ Stroud. He hasn't proved anything yet. He hasn't proved it long term, and when it came down to crunch time, he threw an interception straight to Dre Greenlaw to end their season. And so you have that. Then you have Aaron Rodgers. I think this is another clickbait thing. They listed Aaron Rodgers coincidentally behind Jordan Love. Now, yes, Aaron Rodgers got hurt last year after the first 4 plays in the game, had that Achilles injury. But still, Aaron Rodgers, even with the Achilles, could probably outpass Jordan Love. He's just that brilliant, has that strong of an arm. And so we'll see what happens this year. Then they had 2 at 12. Yeah, been erratic at times. Their offense has really flown, but also there's times where he's just not accurate at all. And then there's the injuries. You've had the concussions. So be interested to see what happens there. Jared Goff had a great year last year. We'll see what happens there. Kirk Cousins, injuries as well. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been consistent. And then I thought this was interesting. 16, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is one who just won a Super Bowl not too long ago. Did phenomenal with the Lions. And ultimately, injuries is Matthew Stafford's thing. But to have him all the way at 16, below Tua, below Jalen Hurts, I think that is a slap in the face, big time. Below Dak Prescott, like, come on, what are we doing here? And so these are my top 10 picks for quarterback, and you know it can change throughout the year. Top 10 right now, power rankings. I have Patrick Mahomes number 1. Number 2, I have Lamar Jackson. Again, Lamar Jackson could be the best quarterback in the NFL, but he hasn't proved it yet in the playoffs. He does a lot with his legs. I think he needs to continue to mature as a passer, which can really help him and his team in the long run. His team's identity is, we're going to get you with our defense, we're going to outrun you. But what happens when they stop the run? That's when Lamar Jackson needs to show up. So I think there's room for that. So I have him as number 2. Again, 2 MVPs, phenomenal quarterback. He just needs to elevate some other areas in his game. Number 3, I have Josh Allen. Again, Josh Allen still has some things to prove. We'll see what he does this year. And, you know, I know there's been some drama around the wide receiver room there. And so let's see what he can do. Can he carry his team? Number 4, I have Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, again, I love Joe Burrow. I think he has the ability to be the number 1 quarterback in the league. Injuries, that's the big thing. Can he be consistent? Can he stay on the field? Because we know the best ability is availability. So we'll take a look at what Joe Burrow can do. And number 5 is my guy, Brock Purdy. I mean, he just been to 2 straight NFC championship games and then a Super Bowl. And he was, you know, arguably 1 play away from winning the Super Bowl and potentially the MVP for that Super Bowl if the right guard had blocked Chris Jones. And so I'm interested to see how he bounces back. He does not have the arm strength or mobility like some of these other quarterbacks. But let's just face it, I don't believe there's another quarterback in this game outside of maybe Joe Burrow who can dissect a defense the way that Brock Purdy does. His ability to be able to break down a defense before the play starts and then make the right decision as the play's developing. The reality is the 49ers front office isn't doing him any favors by not prioritizing that offensive line, because I'd love to see what can Brock Purdy do with a very, very good offensive line. What can he do with given another tick or two to be able to choose the right spots or be able to, pull back and just let it rip? Because right now he's not only scrambling and fighting for his life because that right side of the line is atrocious, but he's trying to do that, but also with some physical limitations. So I'd love to see what it would look like with a prioritized right side of the line. Right now I have him at number 5. Number 6, I have Justin Herbert. I think he's got all the arm talent in the world. He can move. The problem is that it's all potential right now. He hasn't proven it. He hasn't carried his team, hasn't gotten them into the playoffs. And I think there's a lot there. It just has yet to be realized. Number 7, I have Aaron Rodgers. I have him higher, but he is coming off of an injury. Again, he played 4 plays last year. Even though, yes, he's coming up on 40, he is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the strongest arms in the league. I think even if he hit 50, he'd probably have the top 5 strongest arms in the league. Then number 8, I have CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, phenomenal rookie year. But again, can you be consistent with that? Great rookie year. Now there's some film on you. Can you go ahead and produce again in year 2? I think he can, but let's wait and see. So let's put him at 8. We don't need to crown him yet. 9, it's a toss up. There's a few different players that I had in mind for that spot, but we're going to go ahead. I had Matthew Stafford right around 9 because of what Matthew Stafford's done in the league. And yes, he's got a couple great threats in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, and he's been able to do some things, but he's been hurt. I think with a healthy Matthew Stafford, the Rams are very dangerous in the NFC. And then number 10, I have Jordan Love. Very similar to CJ Stroud. He hasn't proved a lot, and he's had some erratic throws. You look at the throw that he had, which we just mentioned earlier, the last play of the Packers year. It was a first down, and he throws a pick directly to Dre Greenlaw. Just a horrible decision. Could have thrown it away. Could have done any of those things. Could have taken off and run out of bounds. Didn't do that. Decided to throw it into harm's way when your team needed you most. That's where MVPs are made. That's where legends are born. Is in those crucial moments, and he didn't rise to the occasion. And so that's the top 10. Again, Brock Purdy, I think he has the potential to be number 1 or number 2. CBS had him at number 2. I have him at number 5. I am excited, though, for what he's going to do this year. He set the franchise record of passing yards last year and only played 16 games. He did not play the last week because 49ers had already secured a first-round bye. And so I'd be curious, what is he going to do this year? I think he's going to continue to grow. I think with the drafting of Ricky Pearsall, it's going to mean the world to him, as well as another year in this offense, another year with Christian McCaffrey. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. I think Deebo Samuel's going to ball out. He is essentially in a contract year because, 1, he didn't get restructured. 2, there's been a lot of talk about trade rumors. 3, Brandon Ayuk is about to break the bank. And so I think it's going to be a contract year for Deebo Samuel. He's going to prove his worth. I don't think the 49ers will extend him after this year. I think he will get traded, but all the more reason for Deebo to ball to show his worth to other teams and get that huge contract this next year again. So I think the sky's the limit for Brock Purdy. And I have the Niners in the Super Bowl again against the Chiefs. Again, part 3, and this time Brock Purdy winning it all with the MVP. And so we'll see. That could leapfrog him to number 1 next year's rankings, but who knows? We'll see. But that's all we got for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on Ninerology.